Let's learn how to play Vent Rouge. Hey gang, and thanks for joining me at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows, and today I'm going to teach you how to play the game Vent Rouge. It's from designers Dustin DePenning and Jason Hager. It's for 2 to 4 players, and it takes about a half hour per player to play. Now, we want to thank them for sponsoring this video and giving us the opportunity to teach you how to play the game. Today I'm going to walk you through a quick setup of the game first, and then we'll jump into an explanation of how the game is played. To set up the game, you'll lay out the main board in the center of the table and randomly populate all of the loot spaces with the appropriately numbered tiles. Then you'll place random guard tiles, red, burgundy, and gray, in all of their spaces on the board. Next, shuffle each of the individual decks of cards and place them along the edge of the board as shown. For the Thieves Market, reveal 3 cards from the level 1 and level 2 decks, and randomly select 1 boss card to play in the center of the board. Next, give each player a random persona card and matching colored pawn, their 4 dice, 2 equipment cards, and their concealed card face up. Set up the player boards with colored cubes in these starting locations. Finally, lay out the Vent Rouge card and his fee card as shown. Place all of the other tokens and dice nearby, determine a start player, and then you're ready to begin. In Vent Rouge, players take on the role of dastardly thieves who are slipping in and out of a mansion in order to make off with as much loot as their greedy little fingers can carry. They can hire the legendary master thief, Vent Rouge, and gain his assistance. They can buy items from the Thieves Market, they can bribe servants, they can even team up with other players in this game to take out the guards and ultimately the boss so that they can rob the lord of the mansion. After a set number of rounds, the wealthiest and most successful thief will of course walk away as the winner. Let's jump into the game and see what a round looks like. Each round is going to consist of 5 phases, and then a cleanup phase where we'll check to see if we've met any of the win conditions and where we're going to reset the board. The first thing you'll do each round, except for the very first round of the game, is you'll decide if anyone wants to hire Vent Rouge. Starting with the first player, you'll go around asking if each player would like to pay to hire the Master Thief. Each time a player declines the opportunity, the cost will go down by 1. If a player does decide to pay the fee, the price will go up 3 for the next round. Only 1 player can hire Vent Rouge each round, and that player will gain his card for the round and a bonus die of their choosing during the attack phase. Next, players will determine where they'd like to sneak into the mansion. In turn order, they must enter from the start space and travel to an available room. They can't travel through walls, guards, or locked doors, and they can only pass through another player with their permission. Now this may require some negotiation, which is encouraged in this game. I'll give you a gold if you let me pass. Never! This game is not just about rolling your dice and playing your cards. There is actually a bit of teamwork that has to happen as well. During this move and negotiation phase of the game, players can make an offer, a single offer, to one other player and ask them if they would like to help them in attacking the guard or the boss. Now they must state the terms of the offer up front, specifying which type of damage each player is willing to take and how they will split the loot. There's no haggling allowed here though. It's a straight yes or no as to whether or not they're going to join you in the fight. Once decisions are made and everyone has placed their pawn on the board, it's time to move to the next phase and set up each of the fights that are about to take place. During this phase, players will reveal a guard card that matches the color of the token from the room they are in. They will set the valor and vigilance of the guard, take note of any weaknesses the guard may have, and then, depending on the number of swords below the fleur-de-lis on the guard's space, they will adjust the difficulty further as necessary. Then, we're ready to fight. At the start of this phase, the first player for the round is going to roll all of their dice, and then all of the other players will match their dice to what was rolled. Anytime a 1 is rolled here, all of the players will gain wind in that color, and the die is re-rolled. Anytime during the game when a player gains enough wind in one color, they will reset their wind track and go up 1 on the bonus die track. And then, they can decide to spend from that track to gain any bonus die they'd like to add during a fight. After the initial roll, all the players will simultaneously begin fighting. Players can choose to assign their dice however they'd like to the cards they have gained up to this point. Red dice on red cards, gray dice on gray cards, and so on. The gray dice may be grouped with other colored dice to increase their value, and at this point, players may choose to spend their bonuses in order to gain extra dice for the rest of the fight. Players will deal damage to their guard, and then regardless of whether or not they deal enough to reduce either of their gauges to 0, they will also take damage themselves. If both the player and the guard survive the first attempt, then the start player will roll again, and the steps will be repeated for a second bout. Here's an example. The start player rolled a red 5, a burgundy 4, it's purple in the case of this prototype, and a gray 6 and 4. Noting that the guard that I'm fighting has a lower valor number, I'm going to try and reduce that to 0. I assign my red 5 with a gray 4, allowing me to make 3 hits on the guard's valor track. I'm going to assign my gray 6 here to gain and roll a burgundy die and gain 1 burgundy wind. Then, using my bonus die and my 4, I'll defend against 2 of his attacks on my stealth track. Once I've taken damage and updated all of my health tracks and used all of my dice, I'll let the first player know that I'm ready to make my second attack, and that I need her to re-roll all the dice. She'll re-roll, and all of the players who are still fighting will update their dice and reassign. And then I'll hopefully be able to keep both of my tracks from being reduced to 0 while attempting to finish off the guard. There are 3 possible outcomes to a fight. If after the 2 attacks, the player has managed to defeat the guard by reducing either of the guard's gauges to 0, and hasn't been reduced to 0 on either of their tracks, then he gains the gold shown in the guard's card, along with any gold, loot, or other rewards that are shown in the room. If the player is defeated and the guard is not, there's a penalty to pay. The guard stays in place, and the player must flee the mansion. They don't gain any rewards, and they actually lose gold. Based on where their tens counter is, they lose 5 gold for each diamond shown to the left of their cube. In the case where a player is not able to defeat the guard in 2 attacks, we have to check and see if he was concealed or exposed. Whenever you enter the mansion, you can decide which side of your card you want to reveal. If you are concealed and the guard escapes you, you obviously don't get any of the gold. You can claim 1 item of loot from the room, and you must flip your card to the exposed side. Now, if you already were exposed, then technically you're defeated by the guard, and you're going to suffer all the same consequences as you normally would if you were defeated. You're going to not gain any gold, you're going to lose your own, and you've got to flee the mansion. Anytime a guard gets defeated or escapes, its card gets discarded and its token is added to the track. If a player got booted out of the mansion, or if they decided to leave during the move and negotiate phase, they get to reset their stamina and stealth gauges to full. They also get the opportunity to shop at the Thieves' Market. Here, players may choose to purchase as many cards as they can afford, and these cards will give them bonuses and more options for assigning their dice during attacks. The face-up cards do not replenish until the end of that player's turn. They can, however, pay to cycle through the face-up cards that are there. Here they can also purchase bonus dice and cognac, which can be used to replenish health points before an attack. After all the players have finalized their attacks, they can claim rewards, splitting anything as necessary based on their original partnership agreements. Players will finish shopping, and then the round ends, and it's time for cleanup. Any rooms that have been looted during the attack phase will be cleared out, except on the places on the board that show the infinity symbol. These will get replenished. Next, you're going to check the track at the bottom of the board to see if any of the icons have been covered. In a 2-player game, when this space is covered, the 3rd row of Thieves' Market cards gets revealed. Anytime one of these spaces is covered, the cost of hiring Vent Rouge will go up. This track is also how you're going to determine the end of the game. Based on your player count, whenever the appropriate icon is covered, the game will end here. Now, if it hasn't ended, then you're going to pass the first player marker to the next player clockwise, and you're going to be ready to begin the next round and do it all over again. After the final round, or if at any time during the game that a player or a team is able to defeat the boss during an attack, the game will end, and then the thief to have snagged the most loot and gold wins. Now, there are just a couple of additional rules that I haven't mentioned, like what to do in the case of you finding a key. You can then use it to permanently unlock doors in the mansion that everyone can use. If you do run into a servant, in that case, you can pay the top number in gold to bribe them. You'll gain their benefits, and then you'll be concealed. Or you can scare them, and you can gain the bottom number in gold. But otherwise, I think I've given you everything that you need in order to jump in and play. As I wrap up this how to play video, I do want to mention that we were looking at prototype components during this video, so in the final version there might be some slight differences. Also, if there are any rules adjustments that I get notified of, then I'll be sure to put those in the description for you as well. The game does include some handy reference cards that you can give to each player at the start of the game. There's also an FAQ in the instruction manual in case you need clarification on any of these things. Hopefully, though, that gives you everything that you need in order to jump in and play, and so I wish you good luck and good thieving. Have fun.